So if we're going to talk about Sabretooth's biology, then we should start with his origin because his origin plays a very important role in the activation and development of his mutant powers. So Sabretooth, or Victor Creed, was born in the mid-late 1820s in what would later be known as the Northwest Territories of Canada, British North America. His childhood was rough as his father was an alcoholic and used to beat him. Soon, in his teen years, his mutations started appearing on his body, and his body parts, like his nails, started growing in a beastly manner. Eventually, his father, Thomas Logan, had another son named James Howlett with a woman named Elizabeth Howlett. Victor had mixed feelings for his brother. He did not like him or hated him, but kind of always felt that his brother was inferior to him. And many of you might already know that this brother grows up to become Wolverine. So, Wolverine and Sabretooth are brothers in the X-Men movies, but things are a little different in the comics. In Marvel Comics continuity, Wolverine and Sabretooth have shared a long, drawn-out history that spans centuries, and more often than not, starts and ends with them being adversaries. They've fought, they've bled, and they've used their respective mutant healing factors to handily recover from each brutal battle they've waged against one another. But at the end of the day, is their contention really one born out of a traditional sense of good versus evil, or one of a sibling rivalry gone wrong? Wolverine and Sabretooth may share a similar backstory and power sets, but their connection beyond that isn't always clear, especially with the messy X-Men film continuity constantly shaping the consciousness of the general Marvel audience when it comes to understanding how these characters originally premiered and how they developed over the years. So that being said, are Wolverine and Sabretooth actually related in the comics, or are they just such perfect foils for each other that it seems they must be connected? The short answer to the question is, they're not. And regardless of what a certain X-Men movie might lead you to believe, Wolverine and Sabretooth never have been related by blood. From the inception of both characters all the way through any number of reboots and relaunches that might have changed the Marvel Universe as a whole, the details behind Wolverine and Sabretooth's connection have been tweaked, but never outright changed to them being anywhere close to blood related. Other than the false idea that Wolverine and Sabretooth are brothers, the closest these characters ever came to being related was when original creators shared that he had originally intended Sabretooth to be Wolverine's father. And although subsequent writers of the character ultimately canceled out the seed of that idea, it further muddied the waters of what the relationship between Wolverine and Sabretooth exactly is, keeping the debate of their blood relations a hot topic amongst fans to this day. Another question that fans often ask is, why didn't Stryker use Sabretooth as an experiment for the adamantium procedure instead of Wolverine? So, adamantium is rare and in limited supply. Wolverine has an overall lower stature and body mass. So as can be assumed that Stryker wanted him, so he might have some adamantium left to use in his next project. But to be honest, this reason doesn't sound that good. As we know, the bonding process is considered highly risky. There is a significant chance of death. So why risk losing a useful asset like Sabretooth when you can use some like Wolverine that deserted you instead? And also, Sabretooth is basically an immoral mercenary, willing to kidnap and murder other mutants, and Stryker is not a complete idiot. He knows that Sabretooth will betray him if given a reason to, so no need to make him essentially invincible. The movie also gives a reason on this, as Sabretooth was angry with Stryker and demanded the adamantium because they had a deal. Stryker says that the tests came back and that Sabretooth would never survive the procedure. We are led to believe that they both have the same healing factor, but Stryker doesn't tell Sabretooth why he won't survive the procedure despite having the same healing factor. During their conversation, Kayla says that Stryker is using them, as he also hasn't held up his end of the deal to release her sister. So it is possible that Stryker might be lying to Sabretooth. You might think, why would he do that? And the answer to that is simple, because he knows Sabretooth is much more dangerous than Wolverine, and if he turned on him just like Wolverine did, there is going to be no way for him to survive. However, unlike the movie, we get to see Sabretooth bonded with adamantium multiple times in the comics. Once, he was captured by the Apocalypse alongside Wolverine, then Sabretooth had adamantium grafted onto his skeleton and claws. This was done to make him even more powerful while under the mental control of Apocalypse. Unfortunately for Sabretooth, the upgrades didn't last. Wolverine beat him in combat, and Apocalypse subsequently stripped the adamantium from the villain's skeleton, and then grafted it back onto Wolverine's skeleton. Suffering due to the immense pain inflicted by having the adamantium ripped from his body, Sabretooth was ironically saved by the X-Man Gambit. Shortly after this experience, Sabretooth would gain adamantium claws once again by way of a new version of the Weapon X program. Working alongside the infamous organization, he secretly used their information to hunt down everyone Wolverine cared about. He would later turn on the organization, getting revenge on them after he was nearly killed with adamantium bullets by them. Sabretooth was believed to have retained the metal bones and claws he gained from Weapon X, even after the Scarlet Witch's reality-altering events in House of M. But the depiction of this has been inconsistent throughout the years. The use of adamantium arguable doesn't fit Sabretooth in the same way that it does Wolverine, with one reason being his claws. Sabretooth's claws are more like those of an animal's, thus lacking the higher amount of precision that Wolverine's claws provide. This is exacerbated further by Sabretooth's fighting style. While Wolverine is a lethal and savage fighter, he still has elements of skill that were honed by years of martial arts training. Sabretooth, who's a much larger and bulkier man, fights in an even more ferocious manner that earned him his own team of supervillains. While it boosted his strength, the new upgrades went against how he had become used to operating. Thus, it seems that with adamantium bonded to his skeleton and the added strength that it provided, Sabretooth might have lost some aspects of his fighting styles and his uniqueness. Another debate between fans is about their healing abilities and whose is the superior one. So, in simple words, Marvel has confirmed that Sabretooth's healing factor is stronger than Wolverine's. The two mutants have long been adversaries, their respective healing factors allowing them to survive for many years to continue their fight. Recently, it was revealed that Sabretooth's healing factor can cut through even collars designed to dampen powers, something Wolverine was unable to do. So months ago, Sabretooth broke one of Krakoa's most important rules: murder no human. For this, he was committed to the pit, which is essentially mutant hell. After breaking free, he fled the island, only to be apprehended by the anti-mutant group Orchis. Sabretooth is still a prisoner of Orchis, who are conducting painful experiments on him. He is also wearing a collar that allegedly saps his powers, which would negate his healing factor. However, the Orchis scientists learn that his body is healing even through the collar, and none of the assembled Orchis staff have any explanation as to why Sabretooth's healing factor is still working. While the issue does not go into detail on why Sabretooth is able to access his healing factor, it does make it clear he is far superior to Wolverine's. During Civil War, Logan was apprehended by S.H.I.E.L.D., who put a level 10 dampener collar on him, stripping him of his healing factor. This was a massive blow to Wolverine, as his healing factor has been his saving grace many times throughout the years. Yet here, Sabretooth has no issues with the dampening collar. He has no problem accessing his healing factor, allowing him to withstand the brutal torture that Orchis is subjecting him to. This will not end well for Orchis because once Sabretooth inevitably breaks free, he will be coming for every last one of them. Sabretooth's healing factor provides him with a lot of advantages. It enables him to regenerate most damaged or destroyed areas of his anatomy with far greater efficiency than an ordinary human. The rate of regeneration is proportional to the damage caused. This process is automatic, and Sabretooth seems to have no control over it. However, his healing factor does not seem to stop Sabretooth from feeling the pain of his wounds, nor the pain of his body regenerating itself. Sabretooth's natural healing also affords him the virtual immunity to poisons, viruses, diseases, and most drugs, and he's also resistant to fatigue poisons produced from physical activity. In addition to that, Sabretooth's healing factor provides him with an extended lifespan by slowing the effects of the aging process. Sabretooth was born sometime during the late 19th century, and although well over 100 years of age, Sabretooth retains the health, appearance, and physical vitality of a man in the physical prime of his life. However, despite having such a great healing factor, Sabretooth is not unkillable, and just like Wolverine, there are multiple ways to kill him. The first and most effective one is Muramasa Blade. Sabretooth was vulnerable to the Muramasa Blade. The sword, which was constructed through some means with the use of a piece of Wolverine's own soul, had the ability to greatly nullify the efficiency of an accelerated healing factor. So if Sabretooth is beheaded with Muramasa Blade, he can be killed forever. Another way to weaken him and nearly kill him is carbonadium poisoning. Sabretooth's healing factor can be dramatically slowed if carbonadium is implanted inside of him, such as by swallowing something made of carbonadium or being wounded by a bullet composed of it. It causes his healing factor to be reduced to a slow crawl, at least in comparison to its normal speed, but it doesn't fully suppress it. Now that we are talking about it, let me tell you the story when Wolverine actually killed Sabretooth. So, Wolverine seeks the Murasama Blade from Cyclops in order to kill Sabretooth for murdering a mutant called Feral. As I told you guys, the legendary sword can slow down mutants' healing factors, and Wolverine monologues, "It's the only thing that can kill me and make sure I stay dead." Logan had given the sword to Scott as a failsafe in case he went feral and had to be put down. Reluctant to give him the sword, Emma Frost enters Wolverine's mind and is disturbed by Sabretooth's violence, recommending Cyclops give him the damn sword. After acquiring the Murasama blade, Wolverine goes after his brother. Feeling guilty for Sabretooth's actions, Wolverine encounters his brother in the woods. As Sabretooth lunges at Logan, he uses the Murasama blade to cut his arm clean off. The feral Sabretooth tries to reattach his arm, but Wolverine explains to him that his healing factor is being slowed down. Wolverine asks Sabretooth if there's anything left of you in there, Creed, as he offers him one last chance to live. Then tears pour down Sabretooth's eyes as Wolverine slices his brother's head clean off. While he admits to almost feeling sorry for Sabretooth, Wolverine remembers all of the women and people. He's hurt and decides he's done the right thing by putting an end to his brother's life. If you expected Sabretooth to get a proper burial after this, you'd be sadly mistaken. Wolverine considers burying him, but decides it's best to let Wild Wolves take it from here. So yeah, that's all for this video, and thanks for watching.